I've just been reading the saga of King Callaghan, bits of it. That's him there. And on the third line it says, the saga of King Callaghan, but from the time of Aratri to the good time of Callaghan, they the Vikings found battle and conflict. They the High Kings. She's at the naming 3 High Kings to the time of Brian Boru. To the time of Callaghan and noble Brian, they the Vikings, the High Kings. So this is what's happening. When people are reading the saga of Callaghan, they're not picking up on the fact that the Vikings, when it mentions Viking, it's actually mentioning the High King of Ireland. And when it mentions Norsemen, it's mentioning another thing. The problem is that people are mixing Vikings and Norsemen as the same people when they're actually talking about two different factions. If they're talking about the Vikings, they're talking about the High Kings. It's clearly obvious on the third line of the saga of Callaghan that they're calling Callaghan, Brian Boru and Atri the High Kings. So there you go, is the whole of Irish history is a fable agreed upon. Napoleon Bonaparte says, what is history but the fable agreed upon? And they can't make head nor tails of the saga of Callaghan because they have him at different dates and different times. He's even mentioned as Saint Callaghan in another century. But if you look at it this way, and if you read the Catharim, the king of Cashel, that's his name is King Callaghan, the Catharim, Callaghan, the Galician, the High King. See, they're after telling us that the High Kingship was held in Munster at the Rock of Cashel, because the Psalm 61 says, lead me to the rock and the high tower, which being a strong refuge from the enemy. And that's where King David brought the harp to Cashel. King David is the one that's singing the psalm, and he's saying in the psalm, the Lord will prolong the life of the king and his years as many generations. So King David is singing in the song, I'm going to live for many generations. I'm going to go to the rock of Cashel. That's my strong refuge against the enemy. And it says from the time, so basically when you're reading the saga of Callaghan, you're reading the book of Psalms. It's him that wrote the book of Psalms. He's the angel of the Lord. In the Bible it says so over and over again. The angel of the Lord is King David. And it says, I have given thee an angel to lead thee, and he will go before you. So the Bible writers, after the invasion of the Maccabees and the invasion of Britain by Caesar at the same time, they've changed the history. But it's clear that when you're reading the saga of King Callaghan, you have 3 different factions. There's not just one faction saying the High King. The High King and the Viking are the same person. The Viking and the High King are one and the same. The Norsemen are different. So King Callaghan is King David. That's what the books are telling us. That's what they're trying to hide from us. So 100% when you read the saga of Callaghan, it calls him the High King, the Viking. So they've changed the V to a H. And that's how thick Irish people are and how undermined controlled they are, that they can't distinguish that it's the same word because of the V and the H, the Viking, the High King. There's not even much of a pronunciation difference. So therefore, for all the scholars, especially the Catholic scholars, have misinterpreted the saga of Callaghan. If you sit down now today and read the saga of King Callaghan and go by these guidelines, that when you read the Viking, well, we haven't read the whole saga, but it sounds like that to me. That when he's talking about the Viking, he's talking about the High King, and the High Kingship wasn't held here at Tara. It was held at the Rock of Cashel. Because that's the one, that writing about the Rock of Cashel stems back from the Hebrew writings, and them Hebrew writings go back thousands of years into ancient Aramaic and Ogham, the old Irish writing. So therefore, Callaghan is called, his name is Catharim. He's the king of the Cathars. That's where the MacArthurs get their name, the MacArthurs. He's the king of the French as well. He's the king of all the Gaels. He's the king of Ingale land, the Gaels in England. He's the king of England, France, and he's hundreds of years old. That's what the Bible is telling us. because we only live for 80 years and we're worn out, little withered up maggots, we can't see it for what it is, because they've hid the fact that he's living for many generations. And he's the void king, the high king, without a doubt. That's what it says on the book. That's what it says in the page. It says the high kings were under siege, and Callaghan also means strong under siege. So the monster men, they probably got that name from the enemy, because they were new creatures in Christ, and they looked a bit different, to say the least, from the rest of us. And they used more than 10% of their brain capacity, because they actually had the wings. There's two Saint Callaghans, they're saying in the saga of Callaghan. But there's not two Saint Callaghans. There's one. His saint's day is on the 24th and the 22nd, they're saying. But King Callaghan actually existed in different centuries. So he's probably the same thing, and that's probably some sort of translation. Because if you go by the Gregorian calendar, it's actually 12 days out. The monks that translated the 12 day, the Gregorian calendar into the George calendar, or the Caesar calendar into the Gregorian calendar, without by 12 days. So they've probably done a similar thing. All of their work is to hide the fact that there were men around in 1,000 years ago that were alive for hundreds of years. And what kept them alive for hundreds of years was the fact that anything that they took a tool upon, they rent in twain, as the Mormons would say, they took a tool upon it, they carved upon it, anything like that, they wrecked it when they found it. The O'Neills were Catholics up the north. King Callaghan was always lashing the O'Neill, burning down the monasteries. That's what they're saying. Well, you have to take a whole look at the writings. That's what you have to do. You have to go through them again with new eyes. And when you see the word Viking as opposed to Northmen or Norman, that's three different factions. They're not all the same. The Viking is the high king. They've told you lies. They've muddled it all up. It's like the man says. He says it's like a scrambled egg. It's so difficult to unscramble. But that's what it is. Put that in your pipe and smell it as maggots.